Hello and welcome to this episode of Conscious Design. I'm your host, Ian Peterman, and author of the Conscious Design book. And I'm excited today to have Alejandra Teran. She's the CMO of SAILCARGO, and they are constructing and operating a world-leading fleet of zero-emission sailing cargo ships, which is quite amazing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ian. Such a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so I love this idea. Wind blows all the time, so let's use it. Stepping back a little bit, how did you guys start? What got you to say, hey, let's look at some old technology here and bring it back?
So it all started a few years ago when two of our founders met in a sailing boat working and transporting cargo in Europe. And there they had this amazing idea of why not bringing this to Latin America. This links Jimon, one of the founders. He had lived in Costa Rica for a while in an area of Monteverde. Then he said Costa Rica is one of the countries with the most strict wood extraction policies and most sustainable. So why not building this ship from scratch? He's a wood crafter and really good just working the wood all around. That's where the opportunity came, and with the idea of building a bigger ship powered by wind and also combining old technology or traditional ways of shipping cargo that before was very successful, and then new technologies came, other kinds of ships like container, conventional shipping came to make shipping more efficient, yes, but also more impactful to the environment. So the idea of bringing back this traditional way of shipping cargo is to prove the value of clean shipping, generate a movement, and combine this with modern technology. It will have renewable energy, electric propulsion systems as an auxiliary way of advancing or moving the vessel when it's in ports or when there's the wind.
Right. Well, I love that, combining the old stuff with the new. How are you guys approached? So, right, sales, one of the arguments I've heard is, oh, it gets in the way of loading and things like that. What's kind of your target in terms of what cargo is this? Obviously, this is not going to be exactly the same as like a giant cargo container ship, right, where the huge cranes. So where do these kinds of vessels fit in to the shipping market? I didn't even know that was a thing in Europe. So where does this fit in, and how can we maximize these?
Okay, yeah. So the vessel has a cargo capacity of 250 tons. The type of products that we'll be shipping is dry goods, not refrigerated, but dry goods, and especially with a clean story. For example, you have organic coffee that you can buy in the supermarket, but it passed through a container ship. So here we offer a solution to companies that want to mitigate or clean their carbon footprint by shipping with zero emissions or with very low emissions. The cargo that this ship will have 2 cargo holds. So the way the cargo is uploaded to the ship is by the grua, like with some...
like a conveyor?
Yeah, I forgot the word. Like a stick with a pulley. That same rigging system is used to do this, loading the ship. So the cargo capacity, I already said it, 250 tons. It is equivalent to 9 20-foot containers. And we have a possibility to load the huge sacks. For example, we already have all our northbound voyages full with green coffee going from Colombia, Santa Marta to New Jersey, for example. And they have this huge stacks, and that's the way it's uploaded. It's
right.
Yeah.
It's not, those are bags. Those are really big bags instead of, you don't put coffee beans in a shipping container.
Yeah. No. Well, in this, we can't ship one container. No, it's just huge sacks or pallets.
Got it. Okay. And so you're looking at mostly dry goods. Is that food? Is mostly food an interest, food export, or transit between, or?
So the time of shipping, it increases, right? We are fully dependent on wind. It's lower than conventional shipping, definitely. That's why, for example, we can take papayas or products that are very fresh. So we have received letters of intent from ginger roots, turmeric, coffee beans, also other products like kayaks or more like seeds and grains, also avocado oil. All that
Got it.
kind of
Okay.
products. And it's incredible how our vision is to prove the value of clean shipping and also demonstrate that there's demand for this kind of service. So we have been receiving an increased amount of inquiries to ship cargo, and it really fills our hearts with hope that people are trying to do things different. The bad thing is that there's not enough offer of this kind of vessels or ways of transportation yet. But there's a lot of companies that now are trying to innovate in this kind of reducing the carbon emissions of the shipping industry. And they're also generating awareness and making a difference. Yeah.
That's awesome. What's the speed and cost comparison when you look at a traditional giant container ship? You said it's a little bit slower, but obviously green, right? No, no giant engines putting out carbon, no fuel. How's that cost comparison?
Yeah. So Seiba, our vessel, that's the name, can go up to 14 knots, but we're calculating her average speed for 4 knots per hour, right? And compared to the shipping conventional vessels, it's lower.
Right. Does it cost a similar amount? Like if I were to ship a bunch of coffee, how does the price compare?
Okay, the price compared, it is a little higher than conventional, especially because it's a niche, it's a dedicated service, and it takes, since the duration is higher, right? Since the duration is longer, we definitely charge a little more than the conventional shipping, especially because fossil fuels are subsidized in this kind of conventional shipping, and we need to pay, for example, for the crew. Wind could also be considered a type of fuel, and it's free, but we also have all the expenses that it requires to transport the goods for a longer time. The value added here is that it could be used as a marketing campaign for other companies and pay that price increase, right? So in the packaging of the product that you're shipping with us, you can use it as an advantage and charge a little more for this differentiation that this kind of service can give you.
Right. Well, there's things I'm thinking about too, is there's starting to be things like carbon taxes and things like that will offset. And it's interesting you brought up the subsidized part. That was something I've talked to a couple people in the shipping world that are trying to help introduce ideas like sales. They've brought up before, like, when you actually do a true price comparison, if you remove all the government subsidies, it actually is really expensive. And then these other options are cheaper. It's just the subsidy part is what makes it affordable. And so hopefully that will change. Or the carbon taxes that are coming out, those might just undo all the subsidies that are happening.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Also, it's another insight that's happening in current shipping industry is that ships are trying to reduce their carbon emissions by slowing the pace of the ship, so that it's taking longer. Yeah, they reduce the emissions. That's amazing. They're going slower.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So part of that fuel burn is the fact that they're trying to go so fast then. And
exactly.
They're not. Okay. So if you slow it down to be more efficient and you remove the subsidies, sales are even better.
Exactly. You don't need to burn anything. You have the power of wind that is going to propel your ship in a no impact or very low impact to the environment.
Right. jumping over the technology side, you mentioned things like having electric propulsion. I mean, obviously you're in a bay, you don't want to go trying to sail through there. What are some of the things that you guys are bringing besides electric propulsion, but to modernize, right? I'm sure it's not 1800s sailing ship that you guys are building. What are you able to bring from the modern world to this type of ship?
We're bringing traditional boat building techniques, right? But we are combining them with modern technology and using computers and rendering and all the boat building process that can incorporate modern technology, but also the propulsion system. It's really interesting how it works. So it is to propel a dual propulsion or twin variable propulsion propeller system where depending on the pace or the level of the wind, so the vessel is advancing fast with good wind, so you place the propellers in a certain way so that it generates the kinetic energy to charge the electric batteries to be able to use it in the electric motor. That's the propulsion system that's going to incorporate. It's amazing just by using there are so many types of energy that you can get in the sea, right? So you can get solar energy, you can generate kinetic energy, you can get wind. That's the auxiliary propulsion system. We are now working on another project or side project, which will be used for our future fleet. And it's designing green hydrogen cells to be used specifically in this type of vessels. So we're working with ADAT, a rocket company. This is a company here in Costa Rica of a recognized astronaut here, Franklin Chan. And we are working together to develop this kind of auxiliary propulsion system for our next vessels.
Hey, it's Ian here. So glad you're enjoying this episode of Conscious Design. If you want the full scoop on conscious design, what it is, how we do it, how you can do it, then check out our book. We wrote it so creative entrepreneurs like you can code social and environmental responsibility right into your brand's DNA. You can download the first chapter for free. Link is in the description. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Right, so being able to use seawater to do hydrogen then.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Well, decided the cells to be fueled with liquefied hydrogen. Yeah, it's very interesting. In fact, yeah.
Yeah, hydrogen I'm very fascinated by hydrogen technology. There seems to be quite a lot actually now. Even Honda and Toyota are making some engines over the last couple of years. So it seems to be growing, and it seems like a great application for ocean because you're not really as like a car has obvious weight issues, right? You have a lot more. You actually need weight for a ballast in order to sail well. That's awesome. That's awesome. So you mentioned you have a ship now. Like, what's your fleet now? And you mentioned you're developing for your next level of fleet. What does that look like?
Yeah. So phase 1 is finished Ceiba. We are now 65% advanced in the construction. We are in a regenerative shipyard, and maybe I can explain later how this works and what's our vision with it. After Ceiba, we already have the initial wood of Pitaya. Pitaya is a replica of Ceiba that is going to be built in the same shipyard. And we will be buying other vessels to be refitted and adapted to ship cargo and increase our fleet and increase our offer, right? So the demand that is increasing.
That's awesome. And you said you already have people basically wanting to place orders. So it sounds like you're getting a lot of interest right now. How does that, your ship capacity to interest?
Yeah, well, we already have this customer, Cafe Williams. They are a huge importer of green coffee from Canada. And we have not yet found a southbound customer, but we will find it very soon. We are trying to define what's the best route. There are a lot of companies interested in shipping with us, but the best customer that fits to ideally to our route.
Right, because you're looking you don't want to sail an empty ship. is what you're trying to avoid.
Oh, no, exactly.
Got it. Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
It sounds like there's a lot of market interest, which is good. And it sounds like mostly what you're missing is, let's say, US back. Is that the direction? Or you have customers? Which way is the hardest to kind of fill in terms of getting customers?
Both ways are important. Latin America, we are trying to keep with the Latin America route, but also if there's like another client interested in crossing the Atlantic and willing to pay more, we can adapt to these routes and to these customers, right? We know that our demand study says that either both ways. So we, Latin American countries, import a lot of product from the United States, from Mexico, and both ways. Now we have this coffee client that's shipping coffee from Colombia, could also ship coffee or cacao from Costa Rica. So the demand is there. We totally believe it and have seen it. It's just getting the right client.
Right. That's awesome. It is good to hear that it's going so well. So you said your current ship is 65% done. How long does it typically take to lay down a hull for one of these ships?
We started the company from scratch. We got a piece of land in Central Pacific coast of Costa Rica. We had to start. There was nothing in the land, and we had to build the shipyard from scratch, build also living spaces for the boat builders and shipwrights to live there also, because this is boat building knowledge is not something that you can get talent from Costa Rica specifically. We have a lot of carpenters, but specifically boat building, it's none. So we get the people, boat builders, shipwrights from Europe, from the United States that come and stay in the shipyard, and it's a beautiful place where they reduce the emissions, not having to transport or to travel far distances to get to work. They live there, they build the boat, and that's how we're doing it. So it's 65%. It usually, in 2019 we laid the keel, and we are 65%, but the next phases of construction we're estimating the launch for 2025. So it all depends. Also, we depend on private investment, and it also depends on the private investment and the resources that we have in the moment to advance in the construction. But yeah, that's the estimation. If that's how I was speaking to our technical director and asking the same question, like Pitaya, the next vessel, if we have the complete shipyard, like more industrialized or more adapted to what we need to advance faster in the construction, in that 3 years could be a good estimation of the time that it will take when we have all of the infrastructure ready to build in a more efficient way.
Got it. Well, it's good. It sounds like, that's a lot of work to go from zero to build an entire shipbuilding facility and then begin building the ship. So that's a tremendous amount of work. Kudos to you guys taking that on. I'm curious, how has the talent been? Because like you mentioned, there isn't Costa Rica, it doesn't, but also just generally wood ship construction is a very, very niche group of skills. Did you have any issues finding people? Or have you had to train people, or have you been able to find enough people to be able to build it without? Because I would have thought that you needed a lot of training to get people into it.
Some boat building schools, really good ones in Europe, and Europe is trying to come back and reactivate the history and the skills that we had before. In fact, as something very curious, this project has been having a lot of awareness since inception. We have not had to search for boat builders. They come to us. They want to work with us and have this experience of building largest wooden sailing cargo vessel in the world. It's something that thankfully we have not had any trouble. And the beautiful thing about SAILCARGO, and this is thankful to Lin Simon, this founder that we have, our founder, is that he believes in the social impact, and although we have a lot of carpenters in Costa Rica, we are based in marginal area. It's called Punta Morales in Punta Arenas. And this area, the people, the workers, the community is mainly dependent on fishing. And the sea are reducing the amount, right? When you fish the fish, it's smaller. And it's really sad to see the economical impact that this family is going to have. So what the vision is to have a social impact also. So by bringing this international talent, we also employ locals to be trained by these professional boat builders. And that way we share knowledge and create a bigger crew of boat building, national and international.
That's awesome. You're able to train new people, and it's great. People are just finding you. People are just, well, there's not many projects, right? It says there's not very many companies doing it. So that's great. It's still great that people are finding you and being able to bring that skill set. And Europe increasing. America hasn't yet. Maybe at some point we'll join and start building wooden ships again. But that's awesome. That's awesome. It sounds like you guys are doing really well. A lot of interest. You have good investors backing you, customers. It seems like a very good progress for you guys to be launching in 2025, which is exciting.
It is very exciting. We see that day. We're anxiously waiting for the day that we launch. And another important factor that we haven't mentioned that I wanted to explain is about how this shipyard is a very unique place in the world. It's probably the only regenerative shipyard that is building this kind of ship. And by regenerative, I mean that we try to be the least impactful to the environment possible. So by using this traditional boat building techniques, by using certified sustainable wood, by living in the shipyard and having light or low impact infrastructure, and by also trying to live like a zero waste philosophy of using the wood scraps that we generate from the leftovers of the wood that we use them to develop music instruments, to create also different products that we sell. The profit from these products, we sponsor or use them for our nonprofit. And with this nonprofit, what we do is plant 25 trees for every tree used in Ceiba. And that way we try to give nature more than what we take. We know wood, and it's really sad to cut a tree, or for me it's painful to cut a tree, right? But we have this reforestation program called Trees for Seas, and that's how we try to compensate or offset our footprint for everything that we're doing to be giving nature more. Part of the regenerative model that we have, and it's an incredible experience. If anybody's in Costa Rica or is going to be traveling in Costa Rica, we have our shipyard open for visits.
Amazing.
We ask for a donation of $28, and we give a tour, and you can live all the experience. We have a permaculture garden. There's an association of women that are cooking for the boat builders and the people that live there. And that way we support the community also. It's an incredible experience that people can be impacted also in by just visiting the shipyard and seeing the majestic Ceiba, because it's huge. It's 45 meters long and 8 meters wide.
That is a large ship. That's awesome. You guys are building, and you said it's the largest one being built in the world right now, right? I'm just curious because I always loved the history of wooden boats. How does it compare to like 200 years when we were using just wooden boats? Is it a similar size, or are you pushing the size bigger?
No. Actually, it's inspired in another old vessel called Ingrid. And it definitely, we had to do with the naval architect, like some adaptations for the cargo holds a little larger and the shape. I don't remember what exactly are the adaptations, but we had to adapt it. Some of the parts of the ship, but it's completely inspired in old tall ships used for trading.
That's awesome. Well, as we're wrapping up, I want to make sure for anybody who's interested, where's the best place to find you guys? How do you invest? Come do a visit and a tour, all of that stuff. And anything else you want to, there's something else you want to add in that we haven't touched on. I love that you brought up the nonprofit part and the trees. That's great. But yeah, all of that. Anything else you want to add?
People can find us in our website, SAILCARGO.inc. Also, we have some active social media, Facebook and Instagram. And there we share not only the construction progress, but also how we generate impact, or we communicate how is life in the shipyard, reducing the consumption of processed foods and consuming local, and why is it important, or sharing about the shipping industry insights and the impact of ballast water or the CO2 emissions, right? So all of this, you can follow us on our social media. Through our website, there's a place where you can see how you can support us. It would be amazing if we can get some other supporters, because it's not only about supporting the project, it's about building a community of a shared purpose and wanting to support projects that are generating an impact. How to support our social, our nonprofit. This other website, it's called Astillero Verde, but the same website of SAILCARGO can bring you there. And there's ways to support, either from donating to plant a tree or wanting to buy some of the music instruments that we have.
Fantastic. Sure.
And you can come to the shipyard and just join us there, and we will happily receive you. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to, or I'm going to have to see if we can make a trip down there while you're building your boat, because I want to see that. It sounds awesome. For everyone, we'll make sure links are put in the description. So in case you want to just click, those will be there. And I really appreciate your time. This is super exciting for me, and great to see you guys are doing so well. I hope this goes smoothly. You get to launch easily in 2025. Yeah, I'll be keeping an eye out on your sailing ship. Hopefully I see it.
Thank you, Ian. It was such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Hey there. Thanks for joining us for this episode. I hope that you're enjoying the content we're putting out. If you're looking for more ways to learn about this, to get involved, create your own consciously designed products, there's a couple ways that you can do that. First is our book, Conscious Design, which you'll find a link to in the description of this episode. Please check that out. Go over quite a bit of information, what the process is, how I've applied it to product design, and some really great examples of companies out there that are doing really great work, some of whom you have seen on this podcast. The other way is our course, 4 Weeks to Launch, where I peel back the curtain on how to develop a product start to finish in a way that can create positive impact rather than any negative ones. So please check that out. That is a great resource. That will also be linked in the description as well. And see you on the next one.